Oh man, so it's been a while since we've had an Avalanche update, and AVAX is over 80% off its all-time highs. We know it's been a very difficult time here in the crypto market. We've been in a prolonged winter now with many altcoins suffering. But what are the updates on Avalanche? What are the fundamental updates? What are the technical updates? What are the key levels in the charts? What's the price points I think Avalanche can recover to? Let's get into this. Looking forward to this one because it's been quite a while since we've spoken about Avalanche. And first, let's face reality, right? Where are we at right now? As you can see, we are sitting here at $25 here on Avalanche, and looking at how we've moved from all-time highs. This is just another coin that's been decimated, 82% down here on Avalanche. And the reality is we need to look at what's changed here on Avalanche, and is it a project we should be confident looking at? And I'm going to start off by flicking over a few updates we've had over the course of the last few months. And the first one we had, which was positive, was VanEck launched its first multi-token cryptocurrency fund, right? They launched their ETF, and included in there was Avalanche. This was a really good positive start to the year in January, with Avalanche being part of this VanEck ETF fund. We then know we had an update in terms of Avalanche blockchain now accessible via WireX. They had their partnership with WireX, which, by the way, has 4.5 million users, further expanding the accessibility of people to bump into and come across and use the AVAX Avalanche token. Now, moving on, we then saw later in the year, in March time, we had the Avalanche Foundation launching their Multiverse, an up to $290 million incentive program for dApp developers to come and build the Multiverse out in Avalanche. And these are various of the fundamental pieces of news that really put Avalanche in the forefront and reminded everybody that Avalanche was a serious layer one solution and a serious competitor to Ethereum. Now, and we're going to carry on actually, we're going to come on to the point of what fundamentally is going to make you a competitor with Ethereum is, are you able to solve the scalability issue, which we know is at the forefront for Ethereum. Ethereum struggles to scale. They have huge gas troubles. We're waiting for ETH 2.0, continues to be delayed. Will it come? What's it going to look like when it comes? How difficult is it to change the engine, so to speak, on Ethereum whilst the plane is flying at 40,000 feet, right? Versus a ready-made, purpose-built blockchain designed to scale, which is Avalanche. So we're going to come on to the novel way in which Avalanche is designed to scale. Now, we then had, moving on later in the year, we had FTX then announcing the support for Avalanche, which obviously is a huge thing to allow. We know Sam Bankman-Fried is a huge advocate over at Alameda Capital, who's owner of FTX. We know he's a huge advocate of the Avalanche project. We also know somebody else who we talk about a lot on this channel, Andre Cronje, is a huge advocate. He says that, you know, outside of Phantom and Avalanche, these are the two platforms that have the best tech, and he's spoken about this at length in his recent interviews. We then had Grayscale, who decided, as part of their fund, which was a large cap fund, they went ahead and added Avalanche in there as well, along with Polkadot. Again, you can see the two types of plays thereafter are the types of plays which are trying to be like an internet of blockchain type plays. And that's what Avalanche is trying to do with its subnets. It's trying to create subnets so projects, popular projects, instead of congesting the layer one, can create a subnet and go and have their own transactions over there with their own gas tokens and the rest of it. Similar to what Polkadot is trying to do with their parachains, okay? Very interesting. We then later on in the year had Ava Labs raise 350 million, putting their valuation at 5.25 billion. So it shows that these guys have deep pockets. They've got the runway, so to speak, which is really important when you're entering a period where you don't know if projects are going to make it through the next crypto winter, right? Crypto winters can be horrible. 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. These projects need the runway to continue to build, even if they're not profitable day to day. So they need the cash there to be burnt. So then, with all these positive things, what are some of the concerns around Avalanche? And some of the concerns arose. There's a few different angles we want to take here, but the first issue which arose was how Avalanche started to become very partnered with Terra Luna. And we know obviously what went on with Do Kwon and Terra Luna, but there was a partnership that was announced. There was, LFG did started to accumulate Avalanche on their balance sheet, right? They did accumulate that, and that left a little bit of a tarnish on Avalanche. We also had the issue around the wormhole bridge which got attacked. Now, that had nothing to do do with Avalanche, right? It's the bridge. Wormhole was the bridge which took you from Ethereum to Solana, and it got hacked. But because Wormhole supported Avalanche as well, that also put a bit of took some of the gloss away from Avalanche. Beyond that, we know the wider crypto space has been in a consolidation, valuations have been coming down, and coins really have been consolidating down to some of their lows, right? Like we saw over 80% down. But the biggest thing probably that I want to discuss with you surrounds the issue of subnets. And I think that's what we need to cover off here. And Emin, the founder over at Avalanche, addressed this issue. And the issue very simply is, the concern, very simply put, was that, hey, Avalanche, if you're asking everybody to go and create a subnet, what you're doing is you're moving TVL away, and in doing so, are you then not stopping people from using Avalanche as the gas token? Because on the subnets, you can use your own tokens as your gas tokens. And we saw one of the biggest projects, Krabada, which accounts for 64% of Avalanche weekly transactions moving across to their own subnet called the Swimmer Network, right? So we saw that started to have an effect on some of the metrics. And Emin came out to address this quite promptly. And he said, as we spin up more subnets and as many of them use their own tokens for gas, some of you may be concerned that the demand for AVAX will drop. To the contrary, let's delve into the tokenomics. First, every single subnet validator needs 2,000 AVAX. Conservatively speaking, there's demand for many thousands of subnets. 1,000 subnets, each with approximately 100 validators, creates demand for 200 million Avalanche. That's substantial. Second, the subnets that run on their own tokens will need to provide liquidity for their gas tokens. TUS and Krabada CRA tie up $3 million of Avalanche just for AMMs. Every gas and play-to-earn token will need to tie up similar amounts. So what he's saying is you need to provide liquidity, right? You're going to still need to hold a pool of TUS and Avalanche, or CRA, Krabada, and Avalanche. Therefore, you're going to be holding Avalanche tokens as well. Finally, in a competitive market, validators will demand payment in Avalanche in addition to the sunset-specific gas tokens, creating even more demand. So no matter how I look at it, I see avenues for demand creation with subnets. I've said this many times in all access, and I'll say it again, the winning chains will be those that can accommodate the explosive growth that we all believe is coming, whose beginnings we live through. Avalanche is uniquely positioned to thrive due to its architecture. And I really like this. And the bit I liked most was that last bit. And I think sometimes we get distracted. As investors, we start to focus on the price, right? We want to see the price move. What about the AVAX token? It's got to go up. But what Emin is rightly doing is saying, hang on a second. We need to focus on bringing people to crypto. That is our mission. We need to build. I don't care about the price. And he's tweeted this before as well. I don't care about the price. I care about building. And that's the right approach. You need to go ahead. You need to be willing to build. And when you build, they do come. And then you can worry about monetization and your token going up. But as he said, it's not like he's forgotten about the tokenomics. The math does work. And therefore, that's not too much of an issue as far as the team is concerned. We can also add to that in that many of the metrics on Avalanche continue to create all-time highs. You can see the total supply of USDC native continues to rise, creating a new all-time high. You can see the monthly transaction count continues to climb, creating a new all-time high. Unique contracts deployed, again, breaking records recently. And total TVL, including those, is sitting here high as well. So however you want to look at it, even in a bit of a crypto winter, we're seeing a lot of strength from Avalanche, and it's definitely not something you'd want to ignore. Now, obviously, like any layer one blockchain, it has its worries, like any others, right? We've seen what happened with Terra Luna, and that's put a reality check and given everybody here in crypto a reality check that really look at your portfolio and hold projects which you believe can sustain. And in terms of tech, in terms of a solid project team, in terms of solid, a model for a cryptocurrency, Avalanche is definitely one of the superior layer one solutions out there, and definitely one of the superior competitors to Ethereum. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that something like Solana has gone down many, many times, right? I hold Solana, but you have to be honest about these things. You can then talk about Cardano, which I also hold in my layer one portfolio, and you have to say that Avalanche, from a total value locked perspective and a DeFi perspective, continues to outshine Cardano. Now, I always advocate having a balance of this, right? The key thing is we know layer one solutions are going to continue to be the hotbed where crypto is the battleground for crypto adoption. So the reality is you don't need to pick one clear winner. You can allocate these in a sensible portfolio, and I think that is the best approach, and that's always the safest approach, because you never want to become over allocated in any one of Phantom, Avalanche, Cardano, Solana, right? You're better off spreading your risk and having a diversified portfolio of some of these really great layer one solutions, because we don't know which one's going to get hacked next. We don't know which one's going to struggle fulfilling their roadmap. We don't know which one's going to have tokenomic issues or any other thing that going on, like Terra Luna, which we didn't foresee could happen. So it's important we balance out our portfolio. So that brings us on to the question of where can we get to? I mean, the price has been absolutely massacred. The good thing about this thing, right? If ever there is a good thing about looking at this on a graph and saying what are the positives we can take, is we know it's the wider market, right? This is not an Avalanche specific issue. This is wider market. So it offers you a great opportunity to buy in at prices that you would have had to catch all the way back in summer of 2021 or earlier back in May 2021 as well. So the question is, where can we bounce to? What we'll do is we'll take a Fibonacci extension from swing low to swing high. And what you're looking at is you can see the Fibonacci ratio, the golden pocket of 0.618 to 0.65 here, brings you to roughly $100 to $105 here on Avalanche, sitting at 25. So for me, very conservatively, as crypto starts to recover, as Bitcoin starts to head back to its all-time highs, for me, it's very comfortable for Avalanche to be heading back to $100, which represents a 4x on current prices. So for me, it's a great platform. It's something I continue to hold in my portfolio as a small part of my portfolio, but I wouldn't be getting too aggressive. They're at a critical point right now when they're scaling out their subnets, and now it's going to be like, does it scale or does it not scale? And so far, it's a novel solution, right? Which is why it's worth investing in. It's worth kind of exploring and seeing how they're getting on. Their tech is sound. Their team is sound. I like the moves they've made so far. The only foe they've made really partnering with Luna, but at the time, that sounded like a smart move, but you can see in the end how that's kind of ended. So we have to put a strike on that. Yes, the wormhole bridge kind of put a bit of a downer. Again, nothing we can really place on Avalanche specifically. The only other thing worth kind of covering off is taking a quick look together at some of their tokenomics elements. And if we come on to Avalanche on CoinMarketCap, we can remind ourselves that the circulating supply is still only 39%. So this is always a bit of a thing for me. I mean, you got a max supply, which is good at 720, at least it's capped, which is great. And then I want to say, okay, that fully diluted does not look great to me. That's where we start to look a bit crazy at 18 million. And that would be my one concern around this, is like the valuation is pretty steep right now. Don't forget, you've still got in excess of 60% of the supply still waiting to come into the market, which is naturally going to leak out over the next few years and the next, when we start to get closer to all-time highs, which is going to put a limit on the pumpability. I made that word up, pumpability of the coin, right? Anytime you're trying to get a pump and get some momentum to the upside, if you've constantly got some of the team or whoever just offloading some of these tokens, it can put a bit of a down on the price and a bit of a sell pressure on the price. So definitely that's something I would be looking at in more detail, is the fully diluted market cap. But from a holistic perspective of as far as layer one solutions, definitely one of those which you should be considering in your portfolio. Thanks for watching, guys. There is your update on Avalanche. If you appreciate this, smash on the like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about Avalanche. Are you invested? Will you invest? Is it what is your conviction on a scale of 1 to 100? How high is your conviction on Avalanche? Smash on the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. If you want to buy Avalanche, you can do so using the links in the description. PRIMEXBT offering you bonuses of up to $7,000 US when you deposit. You've also got BYBIT, where you can earn up to $1,000 in various little earnouts when you sign up. Use my links in the description. You can buy Avalanche there, and you can buy your favorite tokens there. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.